What's happening, guys? Mike from Metacomics coming at you with a review of Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel's newest space odyssey adventure superhero combo mix that's just freaking fantastic. You'll have to pardon the chia pet that I have growing out of my scalp. I have not had a chance to get a haircut, and I'm looking rather afro-ish, I guess, here. I don't know, it's just poofy. Anyway, on to the movie. I went last night and watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and let me tell you right off the bat that everything you're hearing about this movie, all the hype, all the critical acclaim, it's all true. This movie, by far, is one of the best Marvel movies that Disney has put out and Marvel has put out since they've started this whole cinematic universe. This is really the crowning achievement of what every summer blockbuster should be. A summer blockbuster should be a movie that's fun, entertaining, has a good story, great characters that make you laugh, cry, feel like a kid again. That's what summer blockbusters were when I was a kid, and that's what this movie kind of takes everybody back to, especially those of us who are my age, 30 and a little bit younger and older. It was a traditional summer blockbuster movie. It was just fantastic. I think that this is definitely going to open the door for more cosmic movies from Marvel, and I think that those movies are going to see a great level of success. I think this movie in particular, Guardians of the Galaxy, proves that there is an audience who will watch this movie. And one of the observations that I made was when I went to the theater, I didn't just see a bunch of comic book fanboys. I saw older adults who obviously probably didn't care anything for comic books. I overheard some people say, yeah, I just saw this talking raccoon on TV and I just thought I'd check this out. It looked funny. And just all kinds of people that weren't comic book fans, really. You could tell just by looking at them that they could care less. And they thoroughly enjoyed this movie. They were laughing out loud, lots of, joyful expressions throughout the movie. So this audience, this movie targets, more than just a comic book audience. It targets everybody, and it does a great job of entertaining everybody. And one of the best things about it is this movie doesn't make you feel stupid if you are a comic book fan. It doesn't water everything down and make these characters, less than what they are in the comic book with less depth and whatnot, just to appease a crowd who's not familiar with these characters. And let's face it, Rocket Raccoon and Star-Lord, Gamora, these guys are C-list characters that nobody's really heard of, and now they're going to be household names. So Marvel did a fantastic job with that. So I want to go through here and just talk to you about the things that I really, really enjoyed about this movie and why I think it's one of Marvel's best, and they're going to have a hard time topping this, but every time that is said, they find a way to top it. I don't know. So we'll see what they've got in store for the future. I loved that this movie was a mix of serious moments and humor. It wasn't just one or the other. James Gunn really did a fantastic job of mixing those two things together very, very well. There are even some serious parts that start to get a little heavy, and then they bring in some levity, and it just relieves the tension a bit, but without, degrading or lessening the events that are unfolding and the seriousness of the matter at hand. So it was masterfully done in that regard. Very hard to balance those two, but James Gunn manages to pull it off eloquently in this movie. I also really liked that the backstories for each of the characters was short, sweet, and to the point. A lot of movies, especially superhero movies, get really bogged down with the backstory to a point where usually the first outing for a superhero is very slow, not a whole lot of action. You don't really get to see the hero perform very much. Captain America 1, as great as a movie as it was kind of like that, the first Avenger. Iron Man 1 was a little like that, but not as much. But that's kind of what I'm getting at. I really liked that, for like Star-Lord, for example, his whole backstory is wrapped up in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. And so you already know where he's coming from, what's going on in his life and everything, and how he ends up where he's at, in space with the Guardians. So I really like that. They didn't take a whole lot of time up and treat you like a little kid, like, oh, let's handhold you through the backstory. So they focused a lot more on, moving the story forward. And they do that with each of the characters. They give you just a quick snippet throughout the unfolding of the story of where each of these characters are coming from, what their motivations are, and that sort of thing. I really, really enjoyed the fact that Rocket was not played as a hokey kind of joke type character, played for laughs, not taken as a serious character like he is in the comic books. Even though he's very humorous and funny and whatnot in the comics, he is a character that experiences growth and has depth to him, and they really nailed that here. Bradley Cooper did a fantastic job with the voice, and James Gunn again really did a number with the writing for it as far as bringing that depth out. So Rocket is a serious character who's very deeply flawed, and he experiences character growth as the movie progresses, which is really fantastic and something I enjoyed. So he wasn't just the token animal character, the animal mascot for the group. He was a serious character and a contributor to what the group was trying to accomplish in their mission and stuff. So I really, really enjoyed that. I really, really love the soundtrack, man. The soundtrack to this movie, freaking awesome. I'm a big classic rock fan and classic music fan in general. I love stuff from the 60s, 70s, some stuff from the 80s, and a lot of stuff from the 90s because that's where the era I grew up in. But I love classic rock, and so seeing Blue Swede, Hooked on a Feeling, Redbone, 10cc, all the music that are just classic songs being used in this movie, and not just being there to set the mood or the tone, but actually playing a part in the storyline of the film, I thought was fantastic. So a couple of the songs from the soundtrack are integral pieces to the plot, and I thought that was really, really cool. Movies don't really do that much anymore these days. You don't really see too many actual movie soundtracks, and when they do, they usually suck. So seeing something like this put together so well, and actually having the music from the soundtrack in the movie itself, just fantastic. Really, really well done. The visuals for the movie were fantastic. The special effects were awesome. This is definitely a movie worth seeing in 3D. 3D was very, very good. The rendering for Groot and for Rocket was outstanding. Rocket looked absolutely real. Did not look just like cheesy, badly done, fake CGI. I mean, they really stepped it up for the CGI in this movie and did a very, very good job. I loved the themes. There's a lot of themes in this movie, and I'm going to do a podcast hopefully this week, and I'm going to talk a little more in depth at that time about some of those themes. But one of the big themes was family. That seems to be a very, very big theme in the Guardians of the Galaxy books and in the movie in particular. And a family doesn't have to necessarily be blood relatives. In the case of the Guardians, they're just friends. But they come to find out that, as they get to know each other, they need each other. They complement each other. And they're all basically riffraff from all different parts of the universe, the galaxy. And, they've never had friends before. So now that they've formed this cohesive unit, they've finally found a place where each of them can belong. And it's evident that by the end of the movie that they care deeply for each other and that those bonds are only going to continue to grow. And I thought that was really fantastic. I think that's missing in a lot of movies today. People trash family, everybody's family's dysfunctional. That's not the case, man. Not every family is like that, contrary to what popular culture would have you believe. And not every family is blood relatives. Sometimes people have had horrible families, and their real family is, people who they go to church with, or people that they're friends with in the neighborhood, and people that they've known their whole lives that, they can trust and count on. And, there's all kinds of ways to define family in that way. So I really appreciated that aspect of the movie and that theme that played out. And something I personally took away from this movie that I think is, as I'm thinking about it, is actually having a very positive, profound impact on my life, is the fact that no matter what situation Peter Quill finds himself in, he is always true to himself. Who he is who he is, and he never hides that, never tries to be anything other than what he is. It's just part of his personality, and he doesn't feel any reason to hide it. And that really spoke to me because I kind of feel at times like I'm a person who hides who I am. I'm kind of a silly jokester, got a lot of sarcasm, that kind of thing. And I often hide that from people and end up just being a bump on a log sometimes when I'm out socializing. So that kind of really spoke to me, like, man, I just really need to let go and just be myself and just roll with it. Not get so caught up in what other people think of me and that kind of thing. Especially when you're doing YouTube, man, you get a lot of haters and things like that. And you know what? So what? Who cares? Let them do their thing. Just use with their negativity to fuel my positivity, that kind of a thing. And so I really took that away from that. It's something I really liked about Peter Quill's character, and I just feel like that's something that spoke to me personally about the movie. So overall, I give this film a 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. I don't give out 10s hardly for anything, but this deserves a 10. It's awesome. I plan on going and see it a couple more times in the theaters. It's well worth the money. Go see it. Tell your friends about it. Take your friends, your family. It's fantastic. Keep in mind that there is some language in this movie, so it's not quite as kid friendly as some of the previous Marvel movies, maybe. And there is some innuendo and stuff, so be cautious about that. Pay attention to the rating system, that kind of thing. If you got little ones, I don't know that it's necessarily a good movie for them, but if you got kids who are a little bit older, 8, 9, 10 years old, it's probably fine for them. So yeah, guys, that's all I got for this. Definitely go out and see the movie. I will be coming out with a podcast either Monday or Tuesday, which is coming up here soon, talking more about some of the stuff and doing some news and reviews. I'm going to try to do that regularly. I'm also looking for people to help me host that, so if that's something you might be interested in, hit me up in the comments section down below. Alright guys, let me know what you thought of the movie. Leave a comment, like the video, share it, and that's all I got. I will see you guys later.